are listening to the All Metal Mode podcast. Sit back and enjoy the shenanigans of Mike and Sue as they discuss all aspects of metal detecting and everything else treasure related. For those of you who play the How Many Times Will Mike Say Relic Machine game, grab a beverage of your choosing and have responsible fun. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello everybody, this is Mike and you're listening to the All Metal Mode podcast. Boy, do we got a lot to get through tonight. First, I hope you guys can hear me because last week was just a hot mess, wasn't it? And then after going back and listening to it, wow, the recording was horrible and everything else. So I hope everybody can hear me. I hope we don't have any issues tonight. I hope it's all good. So let's get started because we have a lot of announcements, a lot going on tonight. It's going to be a busy show. Don't forget to check out allmetalmode.com. Up in the navigation, you can go to articles. You'll find a lot of my articles I've written. This week I started 2 new Facebook groups, and I'm not trying to go crazy here and start a bunch of groups. I really don't want to, but there's a couple that just had to be done. And one of them is kind of a funny story. I was talking to Brian Harvey in Messenger, and I'm not even sure what we were talking about, and he said, "I'm getting ready to go digging and droning." And I was thinking to myself, man, that's a good idea for a Facebook group. You know, we've talked about drones on here, and more detectors are getting into drones and finding good use for them for finding sites and stuff. So digging and droning. That's our one of the Facebook groups. And then something that I wanted to start because you see so little of it. Metal detecting iron relics. It's metal detecting iron relics. I love some of the iron relics, and you rarely do you see them, and they're so overlooked, but there's some really cool iron relics out there. So I started a group. I had to do it. It just had to be done. So if you're into iron relic stuff, join a group, post pictures. We'd love it. If you're into drones, metal detecting, join a group. If you want to learn, you know, where of course they're both really small groups still, but we'll definitely help you the best we can. Simply Steel Designs, check them out on Facebook. They make some really cool signs. It's my good friend Bruce, and he's made me some really cool stuff, and he can make you some really cool signs, and I'd like to see him do some metal detecting stuff eventually. I don't know, I get so busy I forget, but I'm gonna have to have him make a few things up. Predator Tools, they have some new diggers out. They have the Model 85, Model 85's been around since the beginning. That's their hand digger. The Model 41 Richmond, the blade is 90 degrees to the handle, which is good for like trenches and digging out. I guess he'd had some requests for it, so he made it. And then the Model 59B, the Pioneer Model 64 Commander, that's a T-handle. I'm trying to look here. Yeah, that's the same as the the Pioneer, but with a T-handle. The 59 has a ball handle, and I think I'm not sure the new one. There's a brand new one out that they're working on. Somebody posted a picture. I'm not even sure what Facebook group they're working on one. And then they just finished a prototype. For one that they sent me. and it is amazing. I posted pictures in All Metal Mode Facebook group if you want to see it. It is the ultimate. It's going to be the ultimate field shovel. I was talking to George months back about. We were talking about the Piranha, and I said I love my Piranha, but it V's down, and when you're in soft dirt like a farm field, you're not moving much dirt out. And he made a shovel just for that. And check it out. You can, like I said, you can go to All Metal Mode Facebook group. I just posted it not long before the show, and you can check that out. It is amazing. And I don't think they have it up yet. They're gonna get it up. But if you go to Predator Tools on Facebook, they're gonna do a contest to name the shovel. And if they pick your name, you're gonna win a Model 85 hand digger. That is pretty cool. I'm really excited to talk about that and get that out there. My name for that is Mudge. That's the name I'm picking. That's what do you think, Matt? I think they shouldn't even run the contest.
I think, yeah, don't run the contest. I'll just submit the name you come up with, and we'll call it done with. Right?
I already told him. I'm doing Mudge. You better not. Nobody better run out there.
I'm gonna call him up and say, "Man, George, he stole that from me."
Jerk. Yeah. So, I already told him. So if you do that, I'm gonna drive to Ohio, and you and I are gonna wrestle around and stuff. The Mudge. I'm getting so much feedback now. What is going on? I don't know. Yeah, the Model 41's a trenching tool. Another thing, we're not going to have any call-ins tonight. We're still having issues with Skype. So if I take a call, I got to put our guest and Matt on hold, and it's just a whole pain. Frank Sanders was going to call in. We're also talking about doing a Depth Devil giveaway. So that's really cool, and there's going to be more information on that when we get to when he calls in. And what he's going to have to do is probably just come in through chat and do it that way. I hate to do that, but I just don't know any way around it right now. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. And stay tuned. I don't know. I got a feeling this might be a long show. We'll see. But if I feel like it's going on too long, we have some other big announcements I'm pretty excited about. So, yeah. So tonight we have Gypsy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, all.
Hi, Gypsy. We're so glad you can make it. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've really been looking forward to this after talking to you. I'm sure our guests don't know, but you know, I have talked pretty extensively, and I've really gotten to know you, and wow, I just have so much respect for your passion and knowledge and everything. So it's going to be a good show, and really been looking forward to it.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it, Mike.
Oh, we love
and
having you.
Matt.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Let's get into it if you're ready. How long you been metal detecting?
So I've been metal detecting for about 20 years now. I can always tell by my oldest son's birthday because I bought my very first metal detector when he was just an infant, and he just turned 20. So that's how I kind of gauge how long I've been metal detecting.
That's funny. Is that why you bought it? You know, I could see getting into metal detecting, having a baby myself, and needing a reason to get out of the house. Was that it?
That was one of the reasons, I tell you. Boy, when you have children and you're constantly, attending to them, and especially at that infant age, as you well know, Mike, it's so hard to get out and find that free time, and that was kind of my escape, that I would try to do in the beginning, maybe once a week or sometimes even once a month. It was kind of slow in the beginning, but now I try to get out at least twice a week if I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually been getting out. It's been nice. The weather's kind of starting to change and can actually get out a little bit. I went out yesterday and it was nice because it's been so hot here in Texas, and I'm not used to it, so it's been nice to get out some. So
Yeah, the heat index here in Texas, this summer it has gotten crazy. Some digs I've been out on were with the heat index. I mean, it was up to at least 105.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when I look at I feel like when it's over 100, it should just read miserable. Like, I don't want to know it's any hotter than 100. Just say it's miserable, and let's leave it at that. I mean, I don't need the exact degree of how miserable it is, you know.
Exactly.
Sheesh. I know you've used some different detectors, and what detectors have you used? What do you like now? What are you using now, kind of thing?
Okay. Let me just start with first, back when I very first started, I didn't know anything about the hobby, really. All I knew is that I had actually visited a beach town, Galveston, Texas. Most all of you know where Galveston is. And I was visiting there, and a couple was coming up from the beach, and they had a metal detector in their hand. And actually, I think they had a white machine. And I just happened to ask them as they were coming up, hey, did you have any luck? And they said, yeah, sure. And so they pulled out their pouch and showed me the finds they had. And I was so impressed. I was like, oh, man, next time I come to the beach, I'm getting a metal detector. So
Cool.
it wasn't long after that. Yeah, long after that, I was coming back to visit some family not far from there, and I went and bought a metal detector, and they were watching the baby so I could get out, got out on the beach and found my very first coins and key, and I was hooked. And from there, that was actually a Radio Shack brand.
Right.
Pretty much kind of like a bounty hunter, a beginner model, turn on and go with one knob and a meter. So, like I said, that was 20 years ago. So metal detectors have come a long way since then. And I didn't know much about metal detectors or the hobby, just kind of what I'd seen when I'd seen people out on the beach metal detecting. So my family told me about a local dealer there, not far from them. And I went to my first metal detecting store and ended up buying an older used Garrett machine. And so basically, I guess you'd say I got really started into the hobby with a Garrett. I couldn't even tell you what model it was.
Really? Yeah.
But then from there, you know how we always want to try out as you get more acquainted with the hobby and with metal detecting, and you find and learn and really are seeking to learn more about the hobby and you know where to hunt. That's when you go start doing research into different metal detectors. And I tried many brands in the beginning. I tried Tesoro. I tried White's machines. Let's see, I tried what other brands out there? Fisher. Most of the major brands, I guess, in the beginning. And, you kind of drift as you find. I loved my Tesoro. I found tons of coins with my Tesoro and some neat relics. And just kind of went from there. And now I'm using the Garrett AT Pro and the Garrett AT Max. As soon as I was using the Garrett AT Pro, And as soon as the Max came out, I liked the Pro so much, I thought I've got to try the Max, because I'd, tried other machines that, out there, and I thought, hey, I love Garrett products. I'm going to try out the Max, see if I liked it, and I love it. I've been using it ever since it came out now. So
I think it's illegal to metal detect in Texas without at least owning a Garrett, if I'm not mistaken. Might be. That's great.
Yeah, I have a MineLab Explorer SE now as well, so use that for many, many years. Love the MineLab as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep all your, do you sell your machines as you change to something else or upgrade it over the years, or do you tend to hold on to them and just acquire more?
I would say now I have about 6 machines. I tend to hold on to them. And, but in the past, what happened to me, I ended up moving to Galveston, and I ended up, I would have people walk up to me and they would ask me, where they could get a machine like I had. So I ended up actually becoming a dealer, and opening up a metal detecting store. So, with that in mind, it became where I kind of, if I'd get tired of a machine, I would sell a used machine. I would also take in trade. So, but I would say now I tend to keep and hold on to my machines. Like I still have my Explorer, my MineLab Explorer SE. I don't use it as much, but occasionally I'll get it out. But I tend to mainly just use my machines my 2 Garretts more than anything now.
You said, so you're currently using the 18 Max, and I'm really curious, and that's one machine that I don't happen to have. Well, there's a bunch that I don't have, but that one is intriguing to me. But what sets that apart for you is as you say that would be your go-to machine now, as opposed to just the standard AT Pro. Why do you feel that's a better machine, or what do you like better about that particular machine over the AT Pro?
That's a good question, because when the Garrett AT Pro came out, what I liked most about it is it was waterproof, and it was easy, simple to use, and with what is it, 3 main settings, and just super simple to use and turn on and go. And then when I bought the Max, a lot of people are like, well, it's just the Max. It's just the Pro that just has a few little extra settings, but really it is a whole new machine. For me, it was, it has a true all-metal mode that the AT Pro doesn't have. And if any of you that have ever really hunted in true all-metal, you know the difference. And you also have a threshold that you can, either turn up or turn down if you need to. A lot of people that usually have a turn-on-and-go machine there's not a threshold on there as well. And what I like about using a threshold is turning it up just to where it's barely audible, to where you can hear a change in that audio threshold, to where there's some targets that when you hear that slightest change, for some, detecting some of those really deep coins and deep relics, deep targets. But for me, it was those little things that I liked better than the AT Pro. But I guess for me, most importantly, let me give you an example. My cousin has some property out in East Texas, and I have hunted it with almost every machine that I've owned over the past several years. He's got about 200 acres, And there's a home site out there that I go to every time I go visit my family. And I've hunted it with all kinds of machines, including, Garrett, my Mine Lab. I've had a few other people come on there with different machines that have hunted it, and it's just iron infested. It's one of those places that the actual home site dates back to early 1900s, but there's too many signs that there was something there before, because there's an old wagon trail that comes up to it, and finding finds that date back past, pre-1900. So, for instance, when I hunted it with my AT Pro, I finally started pulling silver out of there. I'd never, even with my Mine Lab, I hadn't pulled silver. It was just so iron infested. And then I came back and hunted it with my Max after I bought my Max, and found loads of targets that I'd missed, even with my Pro, which I know, it also depends on how much rain, different variables there, and it is a highly mineralized soil there, high in iron ore. So anyway, I came back with my Max and pulled out silver and stuff that I'd missed with all those machines.
That's great. Yeah, I like a detector with a threshold, and it's really hard to use a detector with a threshold and then get away from that. A lot of years I ran the E-Track, and you get used to that threshold, and that threshold will also let you know what's going on in the ground. Like if you have things discriminated out, you'll still,
Right.
stuff will still break that threshold and let you know what kind of ground you're in, how fast you can swing, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think threshold's a big thing. Now, I got a question, Matt. That was really, really great question. I'd like to expand on that a little bit. I see a lot of people that have moved from the Pro to the Max, and you and I have talked about this, but I'd like your input on this. And matter of fact, talking to you about all this has kind of changed my mind about this. But why do you think that? For me, it seems like people either love it or hate the Max. Not even hate it, but you got a lot of people having issues and stuff like that. Like, what do you think the difference is? Why are people struggling?
Okay.
Do you have any tips?
That is a great question, because I had seen it in so many chats and stuff. People, some of it was complaints or some of it was concerns, and a lot of it was it was a brand new machine, fresh on the market. There wasn't that much information out on there besides just, the how-to videos kind of that Garrett put out. And when you're out in the field, and you don't know much about a machine, a lot of it is trial and error. You have to use the machine to get used to it. So the number one thing that I saw that a lot of people, or mistakes that a lot of people were making with the Max, it is such a sensitive machine. I mean, the tiniest little piece of metal will set it off. Kind of like how sensitive the AT Gold is. So a tiny fleck of gold or piece of metal will set it off. So you have to learn to control your sensitivity. So you have to turn that sensitivity down and bring it up to bring it back up to the level as you are. So test it way low, and then gradually bring it up, because it's going to make a difference in what type of soil. If it's a highly mineralized soil, if it's a damp soil, maybe you're in an area where there's a lot of rain, etc. Because it is so sensitive, and it can detect those teeny tiny targets like that. That even, I'm not saying that the AT Pro or other metal detectors can't detect. It's just learning to get used to how to control that sensitivity. And once you catch on to learning how to control that, and then the environment that you're detecting in, wow. I mean, that's when the
Right.
stuff, I was just amazed at the depths and the things that I was getting that I missed over areas that I've hunted and pounded in the past with other machines.
And doing, yeah. And that's something I want to bring up on the podcast. I have said, I'm not sure if I've actually mentioned it on the podcast, but in the past, recently, I've started to say I don't think Garrett did real good with the AT Max. And the reason I say that, because you do see a lot of people having issues and stuff. But after talking to you and a few other people, I've kind of changed my mind, and I don't know, because I haven't swung a Max, but if you look at the Pro and how many people it brought into the hobby, brand new to the hobby, and you have all these people that learned their AT Pro really good. It's a very simple detector to use, and I think, or I at least wonder, if a lot of these problems are from people that have only ever used an AT Pro, and the AT Max is a little bit different, a hotter detector. And I'm wondering if a lot of the issues is just coming from inexperience. And that makes me, like I said, I don't know either way. I can speculate all day long, but I do want to say I don't think I've been exactly fair lately with the AT Max. And so I'm just throwing that out there. Somebody like you, with all the experience you've had and what you've told me, tends to point me in that direction.
And Mike, I think so too.
Good, yeah. So I think I've been hard on it, and I think it was unfair.
Well, I think a lot of people have, because, in the beginning they were like, oh, my machine's going crazy, I can't even turn it on and it's just going off and it sounds like, R2-D2 or something like that. It was just so chattery. That's a repetitive thing I kept hearing about, was how chattery it was. And it was just learning them learning to control the sensitivity, tune that down. And like my Max, I used it for the first time on wet sand, and in the water, salt water in Florida for the first time, and that was my first experience in wet sand. I use it in the water and fresh water all the time for metal detecting in rivers and creeks here, and have found loads of stuff with it. But I still recommend, if you are doing beach hunting or in wet sand or in the water, to use a pulse induction machine. But at the same time, I was really impressed with the Max. Once I lowered my sensitivity a little, ground balanced it in the wet sand or in the water, it performed fine, and I found some really neat items.
Now, I have heard that it does do better on wet sand than the AT Pro. Do you agree with that?
I agree, yeah, because I used both machines in wet sand in Florida, and I found the Max seemed to handle it a lot better. It was just once I, again, controlled the setting, lowered that, ground balanced it, and then I was able to, hunt. And I basically hunted in not all part of the time in all metal mode, but then I changed it over to zero. There's a one on there that's called zero mode, zero discrimination mode, that I used. I tried out all settings because I wanted to experience that. And that's one good way to always learn your machine, any machine, whatever machine they're using, is try it out in as many settings as you can in different situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that's really good advice, and that's something I always do. I try to at least wrap my mind around each program. I might favor one and I might learn it really good, but I try to wrap my mind around each program for the most part. I mean, I never liked the on the AT Pro, like I never messed with anything but the Pro modes. I cannot stand that bell tone. It drives me crazy. But I agree with you. You know, for the most part, you got to try out everything and try different programs and stuff. Yep.
Definitely.
I want to take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm kind of excited about this, and I want to get it out because I'm afraid I'm going to fall asleep. I'm kidding, but I didn't hardly get any sleep last night, and I am so tired. So I said we've got a lot of news tonight, and I'm going to throw this out there. I'm really excited. I've been really excited to talk about this. We're making Matt pack his stuff up. We're kicking him off the show. And Gypsy is going to be my new co-host on Monday nights. And we're going to start up a second All Metal Mode podcast, and we're moving it to Tuesday nights, and Matt's got to pack up all the stuff and go over there to Tuesdays. And I'm really excited about
Poor
that.
Matt.
Sending me walking,
Yeah, see you, sucker.
tail between my legs.
Right. No, and I'd like to also kind of mention we're going to change some things up. I've been getting a lot of requests to talk more in depth on different metal detectors, different types of hunting, whether gold, sand, different things like that. Get people on, and we're not going to make one show. We're not going to make one show dedicated to either. What I'd like to do is each show, change it up. 1 week, Matt and I have a guest, and me and Gypsy, we talk to somebody that's an expert in their field, or we go in depth on a metal detector and talk to somebody, and then we might change it up the next week. So, we're just but we are going to do more technical kind of stuff because I've been getting a lot of requests for that. Next Monday, I think me and Gypsy are going to talk about how to get started in the hobby, and we're going to get pretty in depth on everything. We're going to talk about that pretty in depth, and I think me and Matt we'll try to find a guest, Matt, and then we might change it up. I'd like to get Matt on talking in depth on the CTX. We haven't really done that, and Matt is very, very knowledgeable with the CTX. So we're going to switch it up some. And another announcement I have that I have been trying to do for months and months, and it has not been able to work out. There is no metal detecting podcast targeting or for the UK people. And I am so into that history. If you're into metal detecting, you're probably into history. I am into history, and I love what's going on over there, and I try to keep up. I've struggled to find a co-host and get it all together, but starting Thursday, I am going to start a podcast that is strictly UK. Now, I know that probably doesn't do anything for most of my listeners, but I do have some listeners around the world. We do have some people that tune in later, but I will actually be putting that together like 8 p.m. their time. And so it'll be, when they're available, when they can listen. And although I do not have a co-host yet, and that's kind of what's been holding me up, and I thought I'm just going to do it. I do have people in place that'll help me find guests. So that's really big, and that's a good start. And so I'm gonna go for it. I would love to be part of that, even though I'll probably never be able to afford to go over to the UK. I would like to be able to talk to those people and have them on a regular basis, and and talk history over there and stuff. And so yeah, that's my big announcement. Matt's got to pack his stuff up, and he's heading to Tuesday nights. Get all your stuff packed up, Matt. Get out of here.
Tuesday night, just like on primetime programming, I'm getting kicked to Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But that's cool though. Actually, and I think it'd be really really cool because you can switch it up back and forth, kind of, as to whether you get in real technical stuff, and and I'll be honest, I love talking to people in general, but I also love, like I would love to just sit there and do like honest, truthful, like talk a specific machine or a specific pinpoint or a specific anything like that, even, where I can give it an honest, truthful review with no bias, because I got nothing in it to be biased on. And yeah, I love talking technical details about stuff, and I'm an engineer by trade, and I like specific technical details. That always gets me fired up.
Yeah, I'd like to, but I'd like to switch it up too, and do both.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, because I love talking to people as well.
Right. Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you're great at it too, man. I appreciate it. And and all joking aside, Monday nights were better for Gypsy, and so I talked to Matt about it, of course, and Matt's like, yeah, Tuesday's no problem. So no, he's not getting kicked to Tuesdays or anything. We're joking. Matt was more than happy to do it. Paul asked if Matt will be flying solo. No, Paul, I'll be doing the show with him every Tuesday night. So Monday night will be me and Gypsy, and it might change down the road, or it might, Matt can't make it Tuesday, and maybe Gypsy can fill in, and vice versa. We'll see how it goes. But I'm really excited to have two people that are so willing to do this and passionate about the hobby and everything else. It's really kind of coming all together for me. I feel like it's a really good thing to do, and I'll be honest with you, I live metal detecting more through the podcast and my articles than I do metal detecting anymore. And it's not that I don't get out or anything, it's just hard here in Texas, so it allows me to still be in it, and it keeps me excited, because I just struggle to be real excited about going out and digging up clad. I'll be honest with you, I still have fun and I love getting out swinging, and Monkey and I went to the playground the other day, and I picked up a couple bucks and change, and I cleaned a bunch of aluminum shards and everything else out of the playground, and I had fun doing that. But I mean, am I passionate about that? No. But so it helps me. So starting a second show and then a third show, it helps me, keeps me really excited. And Ohio spoiled you, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. It's just tough out here. I'm not saying Texas doesn't have the history. I'm not saying it's not great, but it's not the same. I mean, in Ohio, that's just, for me, it was everywhere and anywhere, and easy to get spots and old sites. And being into history, it's not as easy to get those old sites here. It's not as easy to find them even. So, that's why I do it. I love this. I love this hobby, and talking about it and writing about it keeps me, in it. But don't think I don't still get out. It's just different. Like I said, I've been out, I think 3 times in like the last week. A couple hours here and there, and went out last night. Found me some more clad. But yeah, good times. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I hope you guys are. Bill, Ohio Relic Hunter, said I should do Friday nights. Bill, I wish I could. Monday nights, the days I picked strictly because that's when I can do it. I can't do it Friday night. I wish I could. I knew that. I didn't think there was anybody on Friday nights, and I would love to do that. I just can't. So I have to do Monday, Tuesday, and then the Thursday. So yeah, that's just the way it is, man. And I know that'll, affect some things and some people, and I'm sorry, but, that's when I can do it. So.
Yeah, Friday nights are bad, bad, bad. Well,
Yeah.
for at least potentially 15 weeks out of the year.
What do you mean?
High school football.
Oh, man.
High school football, buddy. What comes second in line to metal detecting? Well, my family, of course, but Massillon Tigers, high school football, baby.
Wait, did you say your family comes second to metal detecting?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay, well, maybe I just did, but that's partially only what I meant.
I got you.
No. Family and metal detecting are first, and second in line, that's high school football for me. I'm not a big college football guy.
So now you're putting metal detecting in the same as your family?
No, okay, well, that's not true either. All right, I'm going to lay out the order. The order goes metal detecting, my family, high school football. So
You put your family second?
Well, I had to,
Oh,
what else am I supposed to do?
I hope your wife isn't listening right now.
Oh, trust me, she's not. She hates
good.
metal detecting with a passion, so we're good.
Good deal. Yeah, I can see me getting that call later this week. Like, Mike, my wife heard the last one, and I'm no longer allowed to talk to you or do the podcast.
No, obviously, guys, my family above anything else in my life. I'm just joking, but no, metal detecting is right up there. I'll be honest. It's a close second. I'll be honest.
Family and metal detecting always top on the list.
Yeah, I think Steph is listening tonight, so I'm going to say family way above and beyond everything else, and then metal detecting. Yeah. Well, you know what? She's amazing, and I'm very lucky. She's dealing with the kids. When I do the podcast, I spend a lot of time during the day getting the show ready. I know by listening to it and hearing me talk, you wouldn't know that, because I sound like some hillbilly that stutters and everything else. But it takes some work, and Steph really is understanding about that. And I've talked to her for months about getting together the UK podcast, and I've even. Oh, yeah, she's listening. She's in the chat even. So I'm glad I put that right. But, I didn't want to, I was almost scared to say, hey, baby, I've been wanting to do a second show, but I'm going to go ahead and do a third show as well, And she has been very supportive and very understanding, and I'm very fortunate for that. Very fortunate.
Yeah, my wife told me, Mike, earlier, she said, I think on Thursday nights I'm going to have something to do on Thursday nights from about 8 to 10, so you're going to be in charge of watching the kids. And I said, okay. I think she was expecting me to say, like, what do you have to do Thursday? And I said, okay, no problem. And she just kind of gave me that look like, she cracked me up.
So does she got anything, or was she just messing with you?
Oh, no, she's just giving me harassing me just because I tell her Monday nights, I said, come home, get your stuff done. I said, I got to gear up. We got a podcast, and you take care of everything else. I got the podcast to do. And so no, she was just giving me some grief and joking around with me. But I said, yeah, go for it. Thursday nights, I don't have a podcast. If I'm home, that's fine. Well, no problem. I'm
Smart.
hoping to get my daughter out metal detecting when she turns 2.
She's a cutie. Oh my God, I love that little girl. Gypsy, he calls her the finisher because she eats everything. I was talking to him, I think it was last week, and what did she pull out of the couch?
Oh, she I'm sorry. Let me say I'm sorry for laughing so hard. She came over to my one reclining chair, reached in there, pulled out like 2 super old gummy worms or gummy something and a potato chip, and I turned around and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, Like, I honestly think she stuffed it in there and hid it so she could come back and grab it, because otherwise, I'll be honest, I don't know how it got in there. And she pulls it out and then starts eating it, and I'm like, oh my Lord.
I was talking
boy.
I was talking to Matt one day, and how old is she? She's like, what, year and a half?
Yeah, she'll turn 2 on December 27th.
Oh, so she's getting real close to 2. She'd gotten in the refrigerator, right, and pulled out a piece of cold pizza and like took off running with it, was going to eat it. Or she passed by you eating a piece of pizza and you guys didn't even know where she got it. She'd gotten in the refrigerator or something. But,
my wife goes, "Did you give her that pizza?" I'm like, "What pizza?" And she's like, "The one she's gotten." I'm like, "Oh my God, she stole that out of the refrigerator."
She's a cutie. And
that's all right. We got a lock on the refrigerator now.
Right, and she's tried to eat.
No, she's great. She's very.
She's adorable.
She's very crazy and complete different personality than my son. And I mean, she will walk up to anybody and just start talking to them in her baby talk. Or now she walks around the house saying "doggy, doggy." And but yeah, it's great. I have a feeling she's going to be like super excited to go metal detecting with me real shortly.
That's really cool.
She might eat the coins that I find, but that's okay. As long as she's having fun.
How old is your son, Matt?
My son is 6 years old. Yeah, and he,
great.
a long time ago when he was like 3, he used to go metal detecting with me, and he told me one day, he said, "Daddy, my metal detector is junk," and I said, "You're absolutely right." So I went out and I bought him a brand new one, and since that day, he's used it like one time, and he pretty much wants nothing to do with metal detecting. But that's all right. I even as a little kid, I enjoyed everything about it as far back as I can remember, and just being fascinated with that. But hey, I'm sure maybe one day he'll come back around to it, and if not, that's all right. Hey, I'm not going to force anybody into anything that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And if it's not fun for him, that's fine with me.
I tried to get both of my boys interested, and I guess because I've been doing it all their lives, I don't know, they get so bored with it. They'll go out with me metal detecting sometimes, but, if I bring them, they're like, after 30 minutes, "Hey, can we go now?" So I'm like, I just don't bring them anymore. Unless we go to the river, and then they enjoy swimming in the river while I'm metal detecting. And sometimes they like to help retrieve or dig, but that's very seldom now, the older they get.
That's funny. Yeah. You know what? They might get back into it. They might get to a point where they enjoy it more. You
they
can always
may. Even my oldest son, like sometimes he'll go skateboarding while I'm out metal detecting, and he loves to surface hunt. And so one day I was metal detecting at an old school, and I'm over there, digging modern coins. And I'm like, oh, this school's supposed to be old. But anyway, he comes walking up from skating on the sidewalk and comes walking up, "Hey, Mom," and open your hand, and pops a silver ring in my hand he found on the surface.
Oh, my goodness.
But
that's
I
pretty
call him
cool.
Eagle Eye. He's always finding stuff.
Uh-huh.
But I think as kids, though, they go through different phases. I know that, man, if I would have had a detector when I was little, because I guess kind of what fed my desire is I just liked my father growing up, and even my grandfather would take me, and we would go find all kinds of, we would go walk around, and we'd go through alleys, and we would dumpster dive, and he would take us to bottle dumps and old dump yards. So I guess that kind of helped feed, that desire of finding something old or something lost or something thrown away, discarded.
Yeah. Did you ever arrowhead hunt or anything when you were young?
I did. I used to go with my grandfather. Had an amazing arrowhead collection that I think when he passed, one of my uncles, one of his sons got his collection. But I was amazed that they would go and sift a lot of caves off of the what river was that? I think it was the Pecos River in a lot of the West Texas area, and find some amazing arrowheads. And still today, I mean, when I'm out hunting, I'm always got my eyes peeled for Indian tools and arrowheads and stuff. So
that's really cool. It seems like there's a lot here in Texas.
There really is. In fact, it's interesting that you say that. The neighborhood that I live in has about 6 caves, small caves, in parts of the area where they didn't build houses, and I think that's pretty much why they didn't build houses on some of these vacant lots in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if you go walking through these vacant lots, I go out there and just kind of what I call rock walk, or I'm looking for arrowheads and tools and stuff, and I find all kinds of flint tools. Not a great arrowheads because a lot of it's been hunted, but some interesting hand tools and stuff.
Oh, that's really cool. I don't have the eye for it. I'm always on the lookout, but I've never had the eye for arrow. I mean, I found some. I have, but I just don't have the eye for it like some people. But I do enjoy it. I think they're really cool, and I think that's a fun thing too. Maybe we'll have to one night talk about arrowhead hunting with you. Maybe you can go kind of in depth on that with us.
Okay, that would be great. That would be fun.
Yeah. Brian just showed up in the chat. He said he was having technical difficulties. Brian, you missed her going on about the AT Max, and she was getting into some technical and stuff, and it was really cool. So I'm really curious. I've watched some of your videos. It's hard to, but I've really enjoyed your videos, especially in Texas and some of the stuff you're finding. And how'd you get into doing the YouTube videos, and why?
Oh, that's a good question. It's kind of weird. Let me backtrack
hold on.
a little.
Is it weirder than Matt?
Go ahead.
Weirder than Matt?
I'm just getting to know Matt, so I can't say that. But let's see. So my YouTube channel, Zero Discrimination, has been up now almost going on 2 years in January, and I had just went through a major ordeal health-wise, and I guess that's kind of part of the reason why I started my channel. One day the idea just popped into my head. I was actually had been metal detecting, and I really don't know why it popped in my head. All of a sudden I just turned around and I said, I'm starting a YouTube channel, and a few weeks later I did. But part of the reason I had actually was diagnosed 2 years ago now with renal cell carcinoma, that is kidney cancer, and they ended up removing my right kidney, and after that I went back for my 6-month checkup, and they did a CAT scan, and then they did a lung scan, and in the CAT scan they found more cancer up around where my kidney once was, on my right side. And anyway, the doctor told me, at that point, well, this type of cancer does not respond to chemo or radiation. And he said, I hate to tell you this, but you've got about 5 to 10 years left to live. And, when you receive news like that, you're just devastated. And, life, the little things that you enjoy in life become more important to you, family. Right. And for me, metal detecting is just always been a major passion of mine. Digging up something old or something that was lost and that's been in the ground for 100 years or more, and just bringing it to light and sharing it with others is just a major passion of my life. So let me finish about I guess I should tell you about the cancer again, though. So after I found out about that, they ended up, the doctor said, well, even though this cancer does not respond to chemo or radiation, the only other thing we can do is we can open you up and do kind of an exploratory surgery and see if we can get all of that cancer. But the problem was it was right up against a major artery where the cancer was. So that was scary too. So my doctor had an excellent surgeon, and he ended up opening me up and went in there and got the lymph nodes and the connective tissue and removed it. And supposedly, I'm cancer free as of now. It's been it's almost a year now, I guess.
Great, that's good news. Gypsy, I got to tell you something, and I apologize. I meant to ask you if that was okay to bring up, and
No,
we just
that's
got
fine.
busy, and I thank you for sharing. I know that's very personal, and I write notes down, questions I want to ask, and as I was reading that or thinking about it, as I was saying it, I thought, oh, I know this story, and maybe I should have talked to you ahead of time.
Oh, no, that is fine. I actually have, I think, on my channel, if you go back to my very beginning, my intro, I tell about that story.
Okay.
And for me, I don't mind sharing that because, I know a lot of people have someone that has passed with cancer in their lives, someone that meant a lot to them, or is going through some health issue of their own. And that's what my YouTube channel and metal detecting has done for me. Is it's an outlet for me. Gets me out and clears my mind, and you know how it is when you're out digging. And
yes,
digging up something incredible. It does something to you, just a fresh air. And even if you're digging trash, of course you kind of get frustrated, but that's basically why, I guess, part of the reason why I started my YouTube channel. I just realized, how important metal detecting was to me. And that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to start this channel. And, I really didn't expect to get, I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers now. And I never expected it to get that big. And I know it's not as big as some channels, but, that's not what it was about for me. It was just about sharing and sharing what I dig with others and more about the hobby.
That's great. And thank you for sharing that story. And we're glad you're cancer free as of now, and that's great news. And I've had, I think sometimes things are just meant to happen for a reason. They put us on a path, and I've been there. I've had things, and I'm just really happy that it's all good. That's really good, and thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry I felt so.
No,
like I said, as I'm reading it,
fine.
I'm like, oh, I so meant to ask you about this, and I knew where it was going. And now, since your channel, I'm sure you've got to meet a lot of interesting people, and talk to a lot of neat people in the hobby and stuff, and I'm sure you got some great stories. Do you mind sharing any of those with us?
Oh, sure. Let me think of something. I guess, even, before my channel, when I used to sell metal detectors, I used, you meet all kinds of people in the hobby, people that are just curious, people that are wanting to start and get started in the hobby, and then you meet those experienced detectorists, that have found way more than I've ever found, and have way more experience than me, and it's something you continually learn. As you go along, you learn from different detectorists, and you learn from different machines in every little situation. But trying to think of. I remember when I lived in Galveston, I was on the news once, but it was funny. They would only film me from my my head up, because I was actually pregnant with my youngest son at the time. And so they wanted to film me, detecting on the beach, and so I ended up filming someone else. I handed them my detector. I guess they were like, well, we didn't know. The newscaster shows up, and he's like, oh my gosh,
So what was the problem?
I didn't realize you were pregnant.
What was the problem with you being pregnant and metal detecting?
I don't know. I think that this person, was really surprised. They had contacted me. They had saw a little ad I put out about metal detectors and called me on the phone and was talking to me. And so they drove in from, I guess it was Houston, and they came to my store and, were doing an interview, and they were just like, you're pregnant?
Oh, that is funny.
I remember freaking people out when I was pregnant with my youngest son, because he was born in Galveston, and I would be in the water metal detecting, and if the water would be, up to my chest, and then I would slowly come out of the water and then, expose my pregnant belly, and people would be like, what?
That's funny. Brian said Ringy and Carlotta, is that, I don't know how to say her name. Is it Carlotta?
Oh yeah, Carlotta. Yeah, that's her name. This past year I went to the Charles Garrett Memorial Hunt, and I got to meet a lot of the YouTubers there that are sponsored, by Garrett, and I met Ringy and KG right off the bat, and they were just so friendly and down to earth, and immediately instant, friends, and out there chatting with them. And then not long after that, he had introduced me to Carlotta, and we chatted and hit it off, and found out that some of her family, she's from Texas. So we were chatting one day, and she found out that she was coming to visit her mother, and was like, oh, that's where at, right near where my parents live. And so I invited them out to hunt on my cousin's property there. Asked him, and he said, oh, that'd be fine. And we came out there to my cousin's property and detected on it, and we had a blast and found some silver and I ended up with one bucket lister for me, and
ooh, what was it?
Yeah, it was actually a shield nickel. I'd never found a shield nickel.
Oh, cool.
So
very cool.
It wasn't in great shape, but I was just happy to
right.
happy to find it.
That's really cool. That's great. Yeah, I've did we lose Matt? Did he fall asleep on us, or?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, you're
sorry.
cutting into my sleeping time.
Uh-oh.
No, I was actually just getting ready to ask you though. Are you originally from Texas, or?
I am.
Have you always
actually.
been in Texas?
Yeah, I was born in San Angelo, Texas, and lived a lot. Kind of moved around a little when I was younger in West Texas, and lived in some little towns that most people have heard of, Odessa, Texas. Lived in McCamey, Texas, and then I graduated from Big Spring, Texas. So a lot of Texas. I've only lived out of state once, and that was for about 3.5 years. I lived in Louisiana, Sulphur, Louisiana. But yeah, mainly born and raised in Texas, hence the accent.
That's
See, Mike, other people find amazing stuff in Texas. I think it's just you don't know how to metal detect.
There are a lot of people here in Texas. Gypsy is a rare. Well, she'll also get in the rivers and creeks and play with snakes to find a lot of that, and that's a deal breaker for me. She was telling me how she was ran off by a copperhead once. No thanks.
Yeah, the snakes and spiders and all the bugs and stuff, especially the other day. I still haven't uploaded the video yet. It'll be coming soon. I think Mike saw it. I ran into a coral snake, and it startled me, and
Right.
I got it on film, but I wouldn't get close. Close. I just zoomed in with my camera. But yeah, I'm worried that someday I'm gonna plop down, be digging, and have sat on a snake or something.
Yeah, that's.
scary.
I'm not into the snakes. They freak me out. So let's take another pause because we have yet another announcement.
Oh, awesome.
Frank Sanders from Depth Devil. We've had him on the show. He does the Depth Devil. He's working on some other stuff. He does the Tesoro mods, and he's going to give away a Depth Devil. And what that does is it amplifies the softer tones, or the what am I trying to say? The quieter tones.
Basically, what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And so I've really been struggling to figure out how to do this. And here's what I'm getting at. I want to give it away to one of our listeners that listens all the time. And I couldn't figure out how to do that. If I post in all metal mode, I know we've got people in there that don't always listen, and matter of fact, I've had a couple issues lately with a couple people that anyhow. So Steph came up with a really good idea, and what we did is she went out and she started a Facebook group. It's just called Depth Devil Giveaway, and you've got to sign up for it. But we're just going to do it. You got to ask to join, but we're just going to use it for the giveaway, and then we'll do away with it. But that way, I know you listen to the show. If I post it in all metal mode, that doesn't necessarily mean that they listen to the show. So if you're interested in the Depth Devil giveaway, Steph has already set up the Facebook group. And all we're going to do is pick a number between 1 and whatever she posted, and I'm not sure what it is. And next Monday, we will give that away. We'll pick a number. We'll have Steph do a live. She'll use a random generator and do it live. So check out depthdevil.com. If you have a Tesoro, you want to send it to Frank to get modded. He's doing some really cool mods. I'll be getting my my Outlaw back soon from Ohio. It's in Ohio right now. And it'll be going to Frank to get some mods done. I'm very excited for that. And I've heard some really great things about his mods. He does great work, affordable. So check him out. So yeah, if you want to do the contest, go to Depth Devil Giveaway. It's a Facebook group. Like I said, we're not once it's done, we're just gonna delete that group. We're going to do away with it. You don't have to post in it, nothing like that. It's just for the contest, but that way I know everybody who does that has listened to the podcast. So that I just wanted to keep it. I want to, and another issue I had was just a small fraction of our listeners can listen live. And, by the end of the week, the show will, I would say 1/10 of the people listen tonight, if that. So, and I know there's people that listen, but they can't listen live on Monday night. So I didn't want to limit it to just the people who can. So that's what we came up with. I hope everybody's okay with it. Oh, goodness. Gavin said, Depth Devil giveaway site on Facebook took me to some Satan site. Nah, that's not right. Sorry, Gavin. Let me look it up.
Mike's starting his own cult.
It's 2 words, Depth Devil giveaway. Well, it would help if I spelled it right. Oh, yeah, that does bring you up to devil worshipping kind of stuff. Oh, man. That's no good. That's no good. Let me get Steph. Steph's still listening. Yeah, it's a closed group, Brian.
That's the site you go to if you want to sell your soul to the devil to be able to dig deep stuff out of the ground.
Great.
That's not the one you want.
Let me see how she did it. Yeah, oh, no. It does, but at the very top I've got groups and it's Depth Devil giveaway. Try that. Let me try it. Yeah, Steph posted the link there. So that still doesn't help for listeners who aren't listening tonight or who aren't in We're getting some good jokes on that. Keep them coming, guys. But Steph posted in the link, and now make sure you live in the United States. I'm pretty sure we're not going to ship that across the country, so you got to be a U.S. citizen, and don't pick a number somebody else has picked. If you do, you're disqualified. I've done the contest I've done before. I had to go back and tell people all the time to. Yeah, it is not coming up. It is only coming up. Yikes! I feel like we should have thought this through a little bit better, maybe.
And here, Mike, I was getting ready to say good job, but I'll hold off on that till you resolve it.
Right, so we're sending everybody to devil worshiping stuff. Great, super. Oh, I'm sure Steph said try that link. I'm sure the link's good, but the listeners who aren't in chat and the listeners who will listen later this week, that doesn't help them out. So we will have to figure that out. Get on it, woman. Please don't kill me for saying that, baby.
And if you do, can you send me his detectors?
Right, right. Yeah, the link works, but it's not going to. So, what I'll say is this: if you can't find it, go into chat. You can go into chat after the show, and we'll leave the link at the last one of the last things, so you can go in through the link. Well, that didn't go as planned, Matt. She said,
That's
Donnie.
The beauty of life, man.
Right. Why didn't we?
Why plan ahead when you can just live willy-nilly? That's what I say.
Right. And I'll I don't know how to fix that. Greg Weems said, from a chaplain's perspective, I appreciate this. Sorry, Greg. We're not trying to convert anybody here, I promise. I promise. Why isn't that coming up? I don't know. Well, some people are finding at least through the link, so hopefully, goodness gracious. I don't know. Steph, if you can work on that and figure out why we're sending people to a satanic website, I would appreciate a satanic Facebook group page. Let's get back on track here, so we'll see what happens, but if nothing else, if you're listening, we'll drop the link at the end of the show, so you just got to go in real quick to the chat, which is, it stays up. You can look in chat whenever you want and go join, and we'll get you added and pick your number. So sorry for sending everybody to a satanic Facebook group. Steph says when she does a search, she found a giveaway. Me too, but you and I are members. When I switch to my other account, it's not coming up. So that is an issue. Do you got any more stories that you'd like to share with us?
Who, me?
Who, me? Yeah, we got so far off, she's falling asleep. Yeah, do you got any other fun stories?
Before she gets into another story, Mike, I got a question that and maybe other people wonder this. I'm curious always by nature. I would assume that your real name is not Gypsy. So I'm just curious how you got the nickname Gypsy or how that came about.
That's a good question. I actually used to co-own a resale store, and it was called Eclectic Gypsies, and kind of acquired the nickname Gypsy then, and then at my current job, I'm an art instructor, and Gypsy kind of stuck there, so they all call me Gypsy at work as well. So
I'm like, yeah, unless her parents were really cool, I don't think her real name is Gypsy, but you never know.
You never know. But I ended up kind of keeping it, as the nickname for my channel, mainly because it kind of like a pirate. It kind of goes with,
Right, I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a good question. Yeah, growing up, though, yeah, I didn't have that nickname. I was always called Little Bit, or I don't know, everybody called me Tiny. I'm a short. I'm not as little as I used to be. You've seen my YouTube channel, but I used to be teeny tiny. But having children, having babies, it puts the weight on you.
I was having too much Taco Bell. I might have that problem.
Right. I just got to say this. Greg in chat said, I just joined and now my soul feels a bit empty and dark now. Greg, you're a comedian. I hope you joined the right group, buddy. I hope you joined the right group. But, oh, goodness.
In other world news, we're a podcast host invites people to visit satanic worship site.
Oh, Lord. That's just that's just what I need. But well, we tried, but like I said, we'll drop the link in at the end of the show as well, and it's real quick and easy. Just when you click on the show, you'll get a little bar, and in that bar you'll see a little cloud is what it looks like, and it's a little chat bubble. Click on that, and you'll be able to quickly go to the link, and it'll send you right to the Facebook page, and you can join. And like I said, we're not going to post in it. We're not going to do anything. We're going to delete it when we're done. It was just a way for me to keep only our listeners in there. And because, I mean, in All Metal Mode, we do have people that post that I know don't always listen and stuff. And I want my listeners, my weekly listeners to do it. But yeah, good times. So I want to know, what are some of your favorite finds, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay. Yeah, sure. But first, before I'm going to change the subject to keep that thought, I noticed Wayne Peterson had commented in here to tell y'all about the nugget hat. So I'm going to tell y'all real quickly about that.
Hey, Gypsy,
Wayne,
real quick. You're kind of
yeah, sure.
going in and out a little bit. I don't know if you're moving your phone, but it'll sound like you're off in a distance a little bit. So try to keep. You're okay.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's good. We're good now.
Okay. So let me, Paul. Did you see his comment?
Oh, Paul. Oh, Lord.
But quickly, I'm going to tell y'all real quick. I'm thankful for Nugget Brain Wayne that's in the chat right now. Wayne Peterson for introducing me to Mike and
for sure.
All Metal Mode podcast. So thank you, Wayne. And,
yes, Wayne, thank you so much. I agree.
And he's a great guy. And I had the pleasure of meeting Wayne not too long ago at Watt's Rendezvous treasure hunt in Colorado. And we had a great time, had a great hunt, and I actually what was I saying? Sorry, I was reading somebody's comment, getting sidetracked here. Ohio Relic Hunter says, asked if I had taken the Nugget Brain Challenge yet. I haven't yet, but maybe I will. I don't know. I don't know if I have enough guts to do that. But anyway, but yeah, I was lucky enough to meet Wayne and go to that hunt in Colorado and hear about the Nugget Brain Challenge, and had a great time, won some great prizes, met some amazing people there, and Wayne says she will. I don't know, Wayne. I don't know about that challenge. But speaking of nuggets, yeah, if y'all get a chance, go back to my channel, Zero Discrimination, and check out the Watts Rendezvous hunt. And there's a photo in there of Wayne and I, and Wayne's wearing his Nugget Brain hat, which is a giant gold nugget. I don't know how he's holding up his head there with that giant gold nugget, but y'all have to check it out.
For sure. That's funny. He is a nice guy, and Wayne's talked to me about getting some people on the show. He put me and Gypsy in contact. Thank you so much, Wayne. And he's a very interesting. You can't say detectorist. He's into several things. He's just a neat, all-around neat guy, and I'm glad that him and I. And it's funny how him and I met was through the ArchMD through ArchMD Mag, which is Luke Higgins, and what a great guy. Luke is through Luke I've met a lot of people, and I'd like to say I'm really excited about this. I got to tell everybody, ArchMD Mag is an online mag over in the UK, and they just recently they just printed their first hard copy that's going to be released this weekend at Detectival, which I think is really cool. And Macro is sponsoring them, and Macro picked my review to go in the magazine, and I thought that was really, really cool. So I am supposed to, and I'm sure Luke is supposed to send me over a couple magazines, and that just is amazing to me. And it's that's really really cool to me. I love writing as much as I love doing this. I love writing about metal detecting, and When I started the blog, I never expected it to do anything. I really didn't. I thought, hey, if 2 or 3, 5 people read an article and enjoy it, I'll be happy. And it does so good, and so many people read it, and I get a lot of people, not a lot, but I get people here and there that'll message me and, hey, I really like this article, or thanks for this, and it helped me. I love that, and so, and I'm sorry, I'm getting off on sidetracked here, but I do want to say, I'm no better than anybody else. I'll hunt with anybody. I'm not snobby in the hobby, or what am I trying to say? I don't think I'm anybody special, but I am proud of my accomplishments, and to me that's very big. That makes me feel really good. But I guess I bring that up because I see people who have accomplished things in this hobby and it changes them, or oh, great, yes. But anyhow, I got sidetracked. But I want people to know I'm very humble. I don't think I'm special. I'll hunt with anybody. I don't care how much experience, what detector they're using. I love helping people new in the hobby. I love learning from people in the hobby, and I've learned from people at all different levels. Sometimes, Gypsy, I think it was just you and I talking about it. Sometimes people new to the hobby, they haven't been influenced and set in their ways, and they can actually teach you, and you can learn from those people. And anyhow, I got way off. But Steph changed the name of the group to Depth Devil All Metal Mode. She wants somebody to see if that changed it. I'm going to go out and look real quick. Hopefully that changed it, and we're not going to be in the news for sending people... and we're not going to be in trouble. Okay, that came up for me good. Let me try it. Somebody said it's not showing up on the search results yet. But so let's leave that. At least I don't think it's taking people to a devil worshipping site. But let me double check. Okay, it's not showing up, but that's okay. I bet it will. So for the listeners, if of course the people tuning in tonight know it, but I want to say it again. It's Depth Devil All Metal Mode. So join the group. We'll do the contest. Then the group's gone. We're just doing it for the contest, so we make sure we just have listeners in. And Wayne said he needs my autograph. Now you're famous. Greg actually has made comments in the past like I'm somebody special, and it really aggravates me. Wayne, stop it. I'm nobody special, I promise. I'll never give out my autograph, because that just is ridiculous to me. And I know you're joking, but speaking of that, I would like your autograph sometime. Right? Brian said, "Oh, I'm sure you can read that." So, I'm sorry, Gypsy, we're getting way off. What else you got on finds? Like some of your, you have some great finds.
Thanks. So I guess one of my most, or one memorable find for me was my brother and I were actually metal detecting out in East Texas together, and he doesn't metal detect much on his own, but when I come visit, I mean, he has a machine, but usually he hunts, when I come up, and we do a little hunting together. And we were out detecting near an old farmhouse, and I was back then, this has been years ago, I was hunting with, I think it was the Garrett GTI what's that machine? I know y'all remember. I've got
GTI 2500.
Yeah, 2500, and it's got this overload sound on it. Like if you go over a can or something that's pretty close to the surface, it's large. And some detectors have this on it, that on it. And anyway, I'd gotten this override signal, annoying signal, and I was like, I'm not going to dig it. It's just probably a surface can, aluminum can. And my brother goes, no, here, I'll dig it. So he dug it, and it ended up being it was a what's the word I'm looking for? It was all brass. It had written on there post office, and then underneath it had 3 cities that were named on there. Dayton, Ohio, I think was one of them. I can't remember the other 2 cities offhand, but anyway, it had a bullet hole right in the middle of this brass sign, and it was so neat, and it had this beautiful patina. You know how brass looks after it's been in the ground a while, and it was one of my favorite finds. I think just because it was just so. Because of the bullet hole in the middle, and
cool.
Old post office sign, so that was a really cool find for me. And I guess another one of my favorite finds is I found an old railroad brass railroad lock. I was hunting some private property, and this house, the people lived right up next to a train track, and I was out there detecting near the train track at the edge of their property, and I got this screaming signal, and dug it up, and it was this beautiful brass switch, the switchblade lock with Katy Railroad on it.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, it was in excellent shape, and I ended up donating it to the local railroad museum, and that's another one of my finds that just stands out that I really loved finding.
That is cool. I don't know if you know this or not, Gypsy. I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, you told me that story, and when you just told it, when you said Dayton, Ohio, you didn't say that before when you told me, but oh my goodness, that is so cool. Very cool.
Cool. Yeah, man. It's funny, a lot of things that were made in Dayton, Ohio, have you ever looked, on some relics where it has like patents? And Dayton, Ohio comes up a lot.
Yeah, Dayton, Ohio at one point was like I don't know how they worded it, but like the machining capital of the world. And like NCR was in Dayton, they were the ones who broke the what was the machine called that the Germans used during World War II? NCR employees helped do that. They're at one time GM was in their big. I think there were like 3 big factories, and Dayton was a very, very important place, and it's still is in some aspect, but a lot has changed as well. Changed a lot, but that is so cool. I'd love now. That sign, if I remember correctly, was stolen, wasn't it?
Yeah, the sign. It was sad when we lived there in Galveston. A bunch of my finds. I had like 4 cases full of finds, and our house was broken into, and someone busted in the back door, came home, and that was one of the items. I had loads of coins and relics and all kinds of stuff. Somewhere I've got a photo of that sign, and I'm going to try to find it, dig it up somewhere. And if I can, I'll post it sometime in one of my videos or something.
I would love that. I if you have it, I have to see that. That's so cool to me, being at that, and I'm way curious what the other cities were and stuff, and that is so cool. Yeah, I just got to see that, but I don't want to, I know I've talked enough here, but I do want to say, speaking of that, I wrote an article about sharing your finds on social media and stuff like that, because you do have to be careful. There are people out there who will do stuff like that, and I know yours. You and I talked, and we don't have to go into detail, but you don't think it was somebody, it was somebody local and stuff, if I remember correctly. But my house was broken into once, and I believe it was I believe it was because of the 1916 D Mercury I'd found, and I know some other people in the hobby that have broken into because of their finds, and you got to be really careful of what you post and share, and I'm not discouraging anybody from posting. I love seeing all the finds, but I would tell you to be very cautious, because it does happen. I've known several people in the hobby who have been broken into.
Yeah, it's really sad that people, there's people like that in the world that do that kind of thing. Another thing that was stolen from me once when I lived there in Galveston as well is one of my aluminum sand scoops, unfortunately, was stolen, because I did a lot of, water hunting and beach hunting while I lived there. But, and I've heard of people, getting their detectors stolen, and that just, they become a part of you.
Yeah.
It's like another person almost.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's too bad that people are that dishonest and would steal your stuff like that. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's sad. I know a guy, I'll tell you guys how careful you need to be. I once talked to a guy who had a big safe, a big gun safe. I'm talking 3 or 4 guys couldn't carry it out. It'd have to be dollied out with a couple guys. And while he was at work, his safe full of Indian artifacts and metal detecting finds was stolen. They come in his house, dollied it out somehow, must have had a trailer waiting or something, and stole it. So you definitely got to be careful. It happens, believe me. Yep.
Oh, so sad. Very sad.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we've covered everything. Is there anything else? Matt, do you have any questions?
Oh, no. I mean, I asked the ones that I was specifically thinking of, and I'm sure there's lots of questions. I do want to say this, though. I do enjoy watching Gypsy. I enjoy watching your videos, your YouTube videos, because they're very real. And what's the word I'm looking for? I watch so many videos that they're just garbage. That I appreciate when someone puts out a nice video with good content, and it's honest, and you can see the passion and excitement that you obviously enjoy metal detecting, and I appreciate watching stuff like that. It's always fun to watch.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And another thing I try to do, I want people, try to keep it real for people. I show occasionally, I try to show the trash I dig too in my wrap-ups. Sometimes my wrap-ups get a little too long because I want to talk so much about all my finds. And so I have to learn to shorten that. But it's, but try to show the reality. You dig the pull tabs and you dig the trash, and but at the same time, how exciting it is when you dig up, a relic or a coin, or sometimes it's just, something that's lost when you're helping somebody, find a lost item as well. And there's just something about that, and it's something I get probably a little too excited sometimes, you know, because you never know what you're going to dig up, and it's just fun to share that and be able to share that with others.
And that's you know, that always, I don't know, I feel like I watch a lot of videos, and yeah, nobody wants to really see all the trash, but by the same token, when you don't show that stuff, I think it gives people like a false sense of reality that, hey, these guys are going out there and they're only finding just amazing stuff and they're not digging trash. Like, and that's just not reality. And I like seeing that. But the other thing too is I find some like trash sometimes that, I don't know. I have huge buckets of stuff that I've dug out of the ground, and a lot of times I know it's probably not going to be something good before I dig it, but I'll dig it anyhow just to check it. And I love taking that stuff and just looking at it, and it's just maybe a piece or a metal shard off of something, and it's always, you know, it still leads you to the same thing. You always wonder sometimes how that got there, or, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, even the stuff that's trash to most people, I still find exciting either way myself.
Yeah, same
right,
here.
and yeah, exactly. And you know what's neat is, you know, so many people do. You know, I save a lot of, you know, my scrap metal, and because you know how much we find a lot of it, and I usually give it to, you know, my brother and my father, because they live near a scrapyard and they can just haul it off and get a little extra cash, you know. But my oldest son's getting a pickup soon, and I told him, well, I'll start giving scrap iron and scrap stuff I find and give it to you. So,
yeah, that's
anyway.
pretty cool.
I tell you, I haven't bought a Bratz garden hose nozzle in plenty of years now, because I seem to find a lot of those things.
Right. They give
And those
off a
are
nice
cool.
sound, don't they?
And those are
are.
good, like they work.
Yeah, those things can be in the ground forever. I pulled one out that has to be at least, oh man, it's ancient. I've not seen anything like it. And I'll tell you, I hooked that up to my hose one day, and I'm like, whew, whoever lost this was probably bummed out. This is a darn nice garden hose nozzle.
Yeah, I love finding those, because
amazing.
I'll put them to use. I'm trying to think. It wasn't even that long ago. I'm trying to think. I found one, and somebody's like, "Oh man, those are the good ones," and I'm like, "Here, take it. I love finding those, because they you're right. You can pull them out of the ground and get them working again, and they don't make good They don't make good ones anymore. They're out of plastic. Yeah, they're made out of plastic and stuff.
They're in great shape too. I mean, yeah, I love finding stuff like that, and you know, I'll come in the house sometimes with some random stuff that, you know, maybe I don't have a fantastic day, or maybe I got, you know, a few little things, but then I'll have like some pieces of stuff, and my wife's like, dude, like, get that junk out of the house. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, look, this is good stuff here.
Hey, Gypsy, do you mind sharing your one beach find that so doesn't fit? I love that.
Oh, yeah, because I was just reading, I think it was Greg in the chat. Someone found a 1416 to 1419 French Jetton. Is that what I read?
Yeah, Jetton. 1460 to 1490 French Jetton. They were Jettons are very weird to me. I don't quite like. They were used for scales and weighing, and they were also like, I don't know. I've heard different stories, and then they were made for like almost like to show where you were from. A lot of the early settlers and stuff had Jettons, and I'm not exactly counting tokens.
Counting tokens. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, that, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. That's what never ceases to amaze me about this hobby is sometimes there's just a find. You're going along and, you know, you're digging clad and you're digging modern stuff. And then occasionally you'll dig a really old coin that just seems out of place, or a really old relic that just seems out of place. And you're like, how did this get here? And so recently I was in Florida, and when I was in Florida, I was videoing for my my channel, and like I said, this was the first time I'd used the Max, on the beach and in the water. So if y'all get a chance, go tonight or tomorrow, whenever you get a chance, go to my channel, Zero Discrimination, and if you get a chance, just watch my Florida. I think it's titled Treasure Island. I was on Treasure Island in Florida. And go watch that video. So what's weird is, how sometimes here's the thing, when you're out metal detecting, and now that I have a channel, sometimes you're digging and you're like, you put something in your bag and you're like, I'll look at that later. And then occasionally I'll get home and I'll clean up a find and I'm like, oh, that's got writing on it. I get all excited. I might find a patent date or something. You don't always know exactly what you've got until you get home. Well, at this time, I was in Florida, and me and one of my subscribers had found out, I was going to be in Florida, and asked, hey, would you like to meet up and detect? And I was like, sure. So David and I met up and started, beach hunting, and we were finding clad and, bunch of finds here and there, and I ended up finding like a little silver bracelet, and on the beach right underneath this old bridge we were hunting. Well, not old bridge, but it's actually a current bridge, but it's where a lot of the ships go, in and out currently into the bay area there. And anyway, I was hunting down in the wet sand, and I got this really nice signal, but it sounded, on the Max, it sounded like there's difference. On the Max has a lot of different tones, more tones than the AT Pro, because usually on like the AT Pro or a lot of machines, they'll have, some of them will have more tones for like, you can tell, oh man, I think I got a dime here, I think I got a quarter. Sometimes you can tell without even looking at your VDI what you've got, And this signal sounded a lot like a penny, but it sounded like a good solid copper penny. What a copper penny sounds like, and it was hitting about like what a nice copper penny will hit, not a zinc-in. All of you know, most of you know what a zinc-in penny, sounds like.
Right.
And we hate to dig them. And anyway, they sound a lot different, on the 18 Max than your copper pennies. And so I thought I had probably a penny. So, I didn't, of course, I don't do as many live digs because a lot of times it's just trouble to pull out the camera and video, and then you end up, wasting your space on your camera, and having to delete it later, or in your time it takes to pull out the camera. So occasionally, I try to, when I get a good signal, I'll try to do a live dig, but I don't do as many live digs unless I've got somebody videoing for me, that day. So anyway, this particular day, I got this penny signal in the wet sand there under this bridge, and I dug it, and it was this little piece. At first, it looked like a little piece of copper, tiny, a small piece, and I was like, that's weird looking. It doesn't. And then my first thought is, it kind of looks like a button, but it's not a button. It was pretty thick. And so I called, David, hey, check this out. And so David pulls out he has a loop there, and he's like, I think you got something here. I think it's, I kept thinking, well, it seems like maybe it's a foreign coin. And because it just had that look, because I dug loads of foreign coins on beaches before, especially when I lived in Galveston, because you have a lot of tourism and stuff like that. So it's like it feels like a small foreign coin. So he pulls out his loop, and he's looking on there, and he says, look at this, there's something on the front here, and there's writing on the back. And we still, we didn't want to take too much time just studying, and I didn't film it. I was like, put it in the pouch, I'll look at it later. So when I got home and I was showing some friends that were over for that evening, we got out my loop and we were looking, and my friend Jocelyn, she's like, "Oh my gosh, this has Roman numerals here on the back," and we made out the bust on the front, and then we could, the more we studied it, we could see that the bust on the front, which way he was facing, and we could see the little laurel leaf in his hair, and all this, details, and so I started looking up the Roman numerals on the back, and we started studying it and found out I had a Roman coin. And I was like, what the heck? What is a Roman coin doing, in Florida? So my first thought was, okay, well, let's see, a hurricane came and, washed in some shipwreck, or maybe possibly someone's coin collection got washed out during a hurricane. I was just thinking of all the probable things, I'm like, what the heck? A Roman coin that's just, and it dated to, I can't remember exactly right now off the top of my head, 350-something BC. And so I'm like, what? I just couldn't wrap my head around it.
Right.
So it's one of those out-of-place artifacts, Roman coin found in the U.S. So, so I posted my video, and I'm like, people are going to believe it or they're not. I don't care. I found it. I dug it. I researched it. And anyway, so I posted that. And then all of a sudden I had all these people, and you look in some of the comments, you'll see, and I had people contacting me and saying, hey, I heard about lots of Roman coins being found in that area and not far from there. And so, it's very probable. Who knows? Maybe it was part of a pirate stolen treasure from years ago from looted an old shipwreck, or, just, you could let your imagination just float there.
Right.
But anyway, it's my oldest coin ever, and I didn't have to go to the UK to find it. So.
Yeah, I love that, and you've got that in video when you're talking about it and stuff, and that's very cool. And I'm a big believer in history isn't how we were taught, and by no means am I saying that we're the Romans here, but it makes you wonder if there's that possibility. A lot of things that we grew up with knowing as fact has since been proven absolutely it was different than what we were taught, and it makes you wonder. My God, look at their engineering. Look at what they have stuff that they built that's still working over in Europe, and you mean to tell me that if they wanted to, they couldn't sail the seas, build a ship? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that they did. And did I just go too crazy? Is that what just happened? Everything seems quiet now.
No. No, it's true. And there's so many new discoveries happening every day just in the U.S. and all over the world that people just can't explain. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it could very well been, someone just, I think Brian just said, he's put Roman coins in geocaching. There's all kinds of, people, it could have been some coin from some, collection or something, and somebody did something like that. But however it got there, I was just blown away that I found it. But not only that, one of the interesting things was that I found out after that there, now, I don't know if this was reported, a lot of things, there's some things that make the news occasionally, and we're like, what was that? You kind of hesitate to even believe it, and I'm sure, there's plenty of hoaxes and stuff out there too. But supposedly some guy metal detecting found, it was two big vessel vases of Roman coins in Florida, so not far from there. So go figure,
Right. Right. That is so interesting to me. Yeah, somebody mentioned the Vikings. I mean, it's been proven now that the Vikings
That's
visited
true,
North America,
definitely.
and I mean, we weren't taught that in school. I mean, I don't. Oh, I'm trying to think. What's the show where that guy goes around and kind of explores? It's on the History Channel. Oh shoot, really
Josh Gay?
He's cool too. No, there's a guy on the History Channel. He's the one who studied that rock. Oh man, my mind's just drawing blanks. A couple years ago on the History Channel, there was a big documentary, like a 2-hour documentary on that stone that was found in the United States that dated way back, or the inscription and Scott Walters, yeah, Scott Walter, and he thought it was a joke at first, but he's like a specialist who can study rock. He studies rocks, and after studying it and the wear and all that, he thought it was legit. And if I remember right, the stone was pulled up as they pulled a tree out of the ground, or lightning hit it or something, and it sparked a lot of controversy, and he kind of got hammered for saying that he believed it was legit. And now there's a whole series on it. I don't know if it's actually still going. Yeah, the rune stone. Yeah, Bill, thank you for filling in all the blanks in my mind. But he definitely believes in a lot of things that are not accepted by archaeologists. And I think he brings it up, but I know it's been brought up before that archaeologists, they only work, for the most part, they will only work within the known. And if it doesn't fit what is known, they dismiss it. And that's why it takes so long for things to be accepted and stuff, and even sometimes an archaeologist will come out and say that, and other archaeologists, because it's not in the known, they'll fight them on it and call it a hoax and everything else. So yeah, the Kensington runestone, that, yeah. If you've never seen it, it's very neat. It was on History Channel, I know, a few years ago. I do not know the name of his new show, but yeah, for sure. So yeah, I love that story because it makes you wonder, Gypsy, like, how did this? Yeah, it could have been deposited by the hurricane, somebody losing it, even a geocache like. Who said that? I don't even know who said that now. Brian did.
Brian.
And
yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities, and like Brian even said after that, if it's like we all say a lot of the times, if these walls could talk, or this relic could talk, or that coin could talk, the stories, it could tell.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure everybody in here and everybody listening right now has found something that they just would love to know the story on, and how it got there, or how it was lost or something. But very cool. So are you guys ready to wrap it up? Are we done, or do we got anything else?
I just want to say that finally, in the good old northeastern area of Ohio, we have got rain, and we got a lot of it. It is, we went from days that were just ridiculously hot and humid, and it's been so dry. And I told a buddy of mine the other day, I said, dude, he wanted me to go out, and I said, I refuse to go metal detecting until we get rain, because it's miserable. It's not any fun when you'll pass up a lot of decent signals just till you get you end up starting to cherry pick stuff because you're like, I'm not digging through this nonsense. And so yes, we finally got rain, and Matthew Hoffman will be out metal detecting later. Yeah, I gotta go up to New York for a few days, but hopefully in my adventures out there, I might round up a spot or two to check out if I get some time. But nevertheless, when I come back, I'm going to be full force hitting some places. So, oh yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, same here, man. The weather's kind of broke, and I we are getting out now. I'm definitely getting out more, and it's, not even finding anything. Me and Brian talked about this the other day. Brian's got the kids at night. His wife's working and stuff, and he said, man, I just enjoy getting out and even hitting the tot lots and stuff. And it's been so long for me because we've just had such a brutal summer that it's been really nice getting out. And I'm the same way. It's just getting out is great. So,
Definitely.
just enjoying the weather and being able to swing the detectors and having fun. But let's wrap it up. If somebody has the link to the Facebook group, please post it at the end of the show. If Steph's still listening, I bet not. I'm sure she's dealing with kids, but the link to the Facebook page so we can so if anybody listens this week and they want to join in the contest, it's depth devil all metal mode is where we're doing it. Like I said, we're going to shut it down after it's done, close the group. But if you want to enter to win the contest, please go there and check it out. Don't forget, go to Predator Tools Facebook page. And I don't know if it's up tonight. Pam said she didn't think she'd be able to get it up tonight, but she'll get it up tomorrow. They're going to run a contest to win the new shovel that I've got that's not been named yet or anything. And they sent me a prototype. I am just blown away. I love those people. Love what they do. God, they're just such great people. But so go there and name it. If they pick the name you chose, they're going to send you out a Model 85 hand digger. Best hand digger you'll ever use. Amazing if you've never used one. It'll change your life. I'm telling you, if you're using some of these cheap diggers, they are amazing. So, yep, do that. And next Monday night, we will announce the winner for the Depth Devil. And Steph will post a video in the group. She'll do a live video doing the random generator. So, Frank Sanders, thank you so much for donating that for that. And like I said, I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry, but depthdevil.com. If you have a Tesoro and you need a mod, get a hold of Frank. He's doing some amazing mods, doing some great things with Tesoros. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. I'm ready to wrap up if you are.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Great. Next week, we'll have Gypsy on Monday night. Me and Matt will be doing it Tuesday night.
Look forward to it. Thanks again, Matt and Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, yeah, nice
Thank
talking
you all.
to you.
Yeah, thank
Great
you as
talking
well.
to you, Matt.
Thank you for
Y'all
coming
have a
on.
wonderful night.
You too, Gypsy. We had a great time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you guys.
Oh, and I cut
Okay,
Matt off.
bye.
Yeah, it was just Matt. He'll understand. Thank you all for tuning in. It was a blast. Have a good night. Don't forget, contest. Yep, go do it. And we'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you next week. Night
Don't
all.
forget also, Mike, that I'm going to make sure that everybody knows if you pick the name for that shovel that you came, Marty and I came up with, I'm going to tell them the story. So, yeah.
The All Metal Mode podcast is sponsored by Digger's Den. If you are looking for a metal detector, get in touch with Mike or Brian. Together, they have years of experience with many different brands
And is
and
Mike
models.
done?
They also truly enjoy what they do. You can contact them through Facebook at Digger's Den, visit the website at dddetectors.com, or give Mike a call. He makes it sound like it's so hard raising our boy, but trust me, he has time. 937-414-4578.